and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of Sean Can't Cook, but John Can.
I really can't, but I am so ready. I even have my hat on.
Didn't I tell you? Oops. You don't need the hat, because look, we're not cooking today. You didn't get the memo. Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah, and our pilot didn't deliver the memo.
Oh gosh, you haven't met Pilot yet, our wonderful dog. We'll have to get him somewhere. Yeah, you don't need the hat.
I don't need a hat.
We're not cooking today. You're off the hook. Doesn't that feel good?
Awesome!
Yes, yes! So, what we're going to do today is, actually, that's kind of a 9/10 truth, 1/10 lie. We're going to make one little thing. That's it. The other 9/10 of the equation, I'm going to share 10 little tips, tricks, and tidbits that I've learned over these many, many years of cooking. Kitchen 101, some basics. Hope you'll enjoy those. Hope you'll learn a few things. So let's get started. Spatulas.
Yeah.
These are all silicone. Now, silicone is great because it's heat resistant. So, for instance, when I make scrambled eggs in a fry pan, I use this because it's very heat resistant. Check the temperature label on the particular one that you're buying. Some may say 250 degrees, 400 degrees, 500 degrees. Get the highest one you can. These will last forever. When I was a child, we had a rubber spatula, and I used it on something hot.
And you no longer had a rubber spatula.
I used it on mashed potatoes and took them out of a pot after we'd mixed them up and put them into a serving bowl. And it left this sort of aftertaste. These will not. So they come in all different shapes and sizes. And oh my gosh, this one is a small one and a large one.
What is inside?
It's metal to keep it
that's really
firm,
cool.
but you can use that on a bigger bowl or something smaller.
It has a skeleton.
It does. It does. So silicone spatulas, I love them.
We're a fan.
Oil. Canola oil I keep in the refrigerator because all oils can go bad. You know that, I'm sure.
I know that now.
They can, and you should smell them before you use them. If you have bad oil, you'll know it's rancid. I mean, rancid oil. Canola oil does not solidify in the refrigerator, so it goes very well in there. Olive oil, unfortunately, can't go in the refrigerator. It does solidify, so you have to leave that. I keep it in a pantry in a dark place, so at least it's out of the sunlight. So canola oil in the refrigerator, olive oil out. And other oils, you'll have to try them because I'm not sure. Safflower oil, sunflower oil, probably don't solidify, but you can test them and see if they do. If they don't solidify, I keep them in the refrigerator just to keep them fresher.
This is my favorite tip. It's something my mother would have loved.
Applesauce. If you want to substitute some oil to be healthier, you can use equal parts of applesauce versus the oil. Now, the downfall is it will change the texture and it will change the moistness a little bit.
But you've used it a lot, and I don't think it...
Right, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a little different. It's a little denser, the products will be. But if it's healthier you want, applesauce is the way to go. Or you can also do half and half. If it calls for 2 tablespoons of oil, you can use 1 tablespoon of oil and 1 tablespoon of applesauce. That works also. Healthy tip. We're looking out for you. This tip is all about baking soda. Now, this box has been around since before my great-grandmother, I believe. This is what you get baking soda in. It doesn't, things can get in it. You can knock it over. So, what do?
Oh.
I simply put it inside of a plastic bag and seal it up. You could put it in a container, but then it might get mixed up with baking soda, baking powder. Is it powdered sugar? Is it cornstarch? All these things look alike. This way, you have your baking soda. It stays fresher. It keeps everything out. The next tip is a 2-parter. It's about flour. So, it's also a gross tip, but I think it's going to be the most important tip you're going to learn about. You know what I'm talking about, so why don't you open this bag of flour and take a look. You want to look inside the flour for about 30 seconds. Now, this is how I stored it. Don't store it one way and flip it another way. The way you store it is the way you open it. What are you looking for? You're looking for movement in the flour because there could be worms or other kind of bugs. I know, I told you it was gross. Lock up the children. This is a gross one. So, do you see anything moving in there?
Oh my god, I do!
No, you don't.
No, there aren't any.
So, I already cheated. I already made sure this flour was okay. This happened to me once, though, and I threw the flour out. I put it in a plastic bag, took it out of the garbage. I said, I don't even want this in my house.
There's nothing moving.
It can happen. So, you want to make sure any flour, all-purpose wheat, whatever type of flour it is, cake flour, make sure you look and check for worms. The second part is store it in an airtight container. This has a very tight lid, so that's how I keep the flour. I also put a bay leaf in mine. It's supposed to keep bugs from going into flour. I don't know if it works or not, but it's something my mother taught me years ago. So I keep a bay leaf right on top so you don't mix it into the flour, so you don't bake something with a bay leaf in it. It won't flavor the flour. It won't taste like bay leaves, so you're good to go. So gross tip, but an important one. Measuring cups. There's different ones. Would you measure a liquid in this?
No.
We didn't rehearse that, but you got the right answer, I'll tell you that. These are for dry. These are for wet. You can't level anything like flour in here. You can't, if you want a cup of flour, which is here, you can't get down and level that off. So when you measure flour, which will be another tip, you want to be able to level it off, because any recipe that you make that shows flour, sugar, should be measured in this and leveled off. These are level cups or half cups or whatever increment that you're using. Wet, wet, dry, dry. Simple. How do I measure flour?
I don't know.
Oh.
Tell me how.
So, I've seen a lot of demonstrations where you scoop and put it in, scoop, put it in. When you get to the top, you level it off. I don't like that. It takes too long. This is what my mother showed me, so thank you, Mom. I just scoop the whole thing in and mound it up. Now what you want to do, take a knife and you want to poke it to get rid of any air pockets, because you do want this to be full. So I just do that a few times around, take the knife and swoop it off. Level cups. Easy. It's time for sugar. Who's a sugarholic?
John is.
Sort of. I don't eat too much. I try to keep it to a minimum, but I do like sugar. So we've got white granulated sugar. We've got light brown sugar. And over there near you, we've got some dark brown sugar. Do you think you can use and intermingle these, exchange them?
Yes.
You're half right. Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. A chocolate chip cookie, for example, is crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
And why?
Because you use two sugars. You use white and one of the browns. White sugar is good for making things crispier. The brown sugars make things a little bit chewier. They also add more depth of flavor, but as far as texture, so that's why it's sort of yes and no. So in a cookie, yes, it will make a difference, absolutely. We're going to make some simple syrup. This doesn't matter. This is a personal preference. If you want it to taste richer, you'll use this, in between this, lighter this, or mix and match, which is what we're going to do next. So, yeah, sugar. Who doesn't love sugar? Simple syrup. It's simple. It really is. So, have you ever had a cold drink and you try to put in sugar or some other sweetener and it just won't dissolve?
Yeah, it's a granular mess.
Yeah, it's a granular mess. A simple syrup gets you around that. It's already dissolved in the simple syrup. So you can just add as much or as little as you want. So if you're having people over and you're going to have some cold beverage that requires sweetening, you can say, hey, this is unsweetened. Here's your sugar. Go at it. You just put in as much as you want. Of course, you'll just measure out a little bit. I'll just be sitting there talking to somebody, putting in my simple syrup. So you can use any kind of sugar, as we've talked about. White, light, dark. I'm actually going to make some today, and we're going to have a little mixture. I'm going to use a little bit of each, but we'll show you that at the stove. We're also going to make a little homemade ginger ale. I love it. It's delicious. This also can be used, because we're making a ginger one today. You can also use it in a cocktail. It's great with whiskey, probably vodka, rum, I don't know, just throw with any kind of alcohol. So let's not give you the wrong impression about us though, but it's a nice way to have a cocktail. So you can make it without the ginger and just make a simple syrup. But the ginger gives it a little extra kick. So let's go to the stove and show you how to make that. We'll come back and make some ginger ale. I promised you we would cook a little something in this episode, so that's what we're going to do. We're making a simple syrup, and guess what? It couldn't be any simpler.
Oh,
I know. Cue the groans. Anyway, so I've got a pot on the stove, brought it to a boil. I used 1.5 cups of water, 1 cup of granulated white sugar, 1/4 of a cup of light brown sugar, and 1/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar. Equal parts, 1.5 cups, 1.5 cups. It's been simmering for a while. Let's take a look at the stove. Now you can make this just a plain simple syrup, but I'm putting in ginger. This is fresh ginger root. If you want to know more about it, check out our chicken teriyaki recipe to show you how to peel it. I've just sliced it, brought it to a boil, and it will simmer for 5 minutes to dissolve the sugar and infuse the ginger flavor into it. It will be delicious, and we're going to make some homemade ginger ale. Stay tuned. Now that you know how to make the simple syrup, oh, here it is, magically transformed. We have a simple syrup. So I have this little portable container.
I like this
which
one
is
a lot.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
clamped shut. Too.
I leave the ginger in there for the full time while I'm using it. It just keeps infusing the flavor. Make sure you refrigerate this. I did not once, and it was a science experiment.
It was really terrifying.
It was terrifying.
We had to throw out the container.
Oh yeah, I just threw the
The
whole
whole thing in the trash.
container. Everything went out. So yeah, so we're gonna make a little ginger ale. Now you can adjust this because it's what?
Adaptable.
Thank you. I put you on the spot there. You know. So I'm just gonna measure out a shot glass into a glass,
Okay.
and you can do the same.
All right.
And we're going to add a little sparkling water. You can add club soda. This is just sparkling water. And again, you can adjust this to your liking. If you want a little more ginger flavor or a little less. This is going to be good because I didn't put in a whole lot of the sparkling water. So I'll wait for you to get done. I'll have a little toast.
So dumb question.
Sure.
So you cooked the sugar on the in the mixture.
Right,
So you made
right.
kind of took something granular
Right.
and made it.
Right,
liquid.
so yeah, and it will stay like this. It will not recrystallize. So again, if you've got some company coming over and you want to use it for, say, iced tea, you can put this in. You don't have to worry about trying to get it to dissolve. It's already dissolved. So
And this was refrigerated.
yeah, this was refrigerated.
Yeah.
You can add ice if you want, but we're gonna just have it like this because it's already cold.
Oh, we didn't stir it.
Oops,
Did you stir yours?
I did. And you got some ginger in yours, which is fine.
I did a king cruising
Yeah,
through
it'll
the
do that. If you don't want to leave it in there, you can take it out, but I like to do it. So cheers.
to tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks. Mmm.
Oh wow.
That's good.
Yeah, it's very natural
Very
tasting.
natural. It's refreshing. The final tip, number 10, is my favorite. The applesauce was your favorite.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. I learned this a long time ago. You've got some ingredients. This is just flour for the sake of filming. But you've got some ingredients. You're going to put an egg in. What do?
You avoid doing the whole thing because I don't like cracking eggs.
Someday, I have hope. Someday.
Oh.
So you could just go and crack and put that in there. Do you see any problems with that?
I see a lot of people do it.
Yes. Here's the issue. If it's a bad egg, which eggs don't really have much smell when they're good. If they're bad, you'll know if you have a bad egg. You can also get some shell in there.
Mm.
So what do? Crack it into its own separate container. I'd ask you to throw this out, but I know you don't want to touch that. So crack it into its own container and then put it into whatever you need. And have a spoon handy. If you need to take out the shell that broke in there, you can dig it out with a spoon. But that way, if anything happens, and if I have 6 eggs, I crack each one individually into its own container and then put in. You could do 2 at a time, but I prefer just to do 1 because if you have 2 and one of them turns out to be bad, then you don't have to waste 2 eggs. So 1 at a time, put them in, and you're done. Easy peasy.